In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how you can become work optional, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I'm working towards this. So for all of these videos, I am going to be sharing my Amazon sales as well. I'm trying to make daily videos, and basically it would be cool to share with you guys how my sales are every single day. So right now it's just about 3 p.m. my time, and we are at 3,200 in sales. It's been a good day so far. I'm just gonna go ahead and show you my sales. We're looking at units sold right now, but just kidding, we're at 3,300. But yeah, that's my sales right now. And I was showing inventory lab profit. Let me know if you guys want that back. But basically the problem with that is that it kind of is delayed and it's not quite synced up to your sales. So like it could show like 1,900 in profit because it's showing 5K in sales today, but it's delayed. So I'm not showing that right now. Let me know if you want that back or what a better solution for that would be. Okay, but how to become work optional. And basically my idea with this is that it's very similar to the idea of financially independent, retire early, FIRE. The basic idea of that is that you can invest a certain amount of money in the stock market or in like treasuries or CDs. And let's say you are getting, call it 10% for easy math, percent interest off of your investment per year. Then let's say you needed 50K a year in order to live, and you had a 500K investment. Basically 10% of that per year is 50K, and therefore that would be 50K a year. Now you'd probably want to think about taxes and what the interest rate would actually be, but for easy math, that's what we're going with. So basically, in that way, you can become work optional. In my opinion, I think work has a lot of meaning in life, and so the plan is to continue working, but having the freedom to, at a certain point you kind of have freedom to pursue whatever you want to pursue, but money does play a role in it. So even working towards this and having more financial freedom is helpful in the choices that you make. Like if you're super desperate, you might just have to work like whatever job you can take, and you have to put up with more stuff because of the way that you don't have money. But if you have some money and you actually do have some passive income coming outside of your employment, it kind of gives you some more flexibility. Doing something like eBay or Amazon is another step towards financial freedom, although it's still work. A lot of this is also based on Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant and his board game Cash Flow, which I absolutely love. I play that just about every night online, which is a little silly to play it every single night, but it's just a fun game because it kind of teaches you a bit of financial IQ. And there's actually a lot of different ways that you can not just be an employee or self-employed, which running an eBay store and an Amazon store, I would consider to be self-employed until you build B systems, which makes it more of like a business. And that is more passive income than doing something like being an employee or self-employed, because you have systems in place that make your processes faster, or you have people working for you, or you have money working for you, which is more of being an investor, which is the fourth category. And basically, according to his board game, the whole goal of the board game is to escape the rat race. And basically, the rat race is where you have a certain amount of expenses, and if you have assets that produce income that cover all of your expenses, you are out of the rat race, because at that point, your assets are producing income that you didn't have to work for. So You could do this in a lot of different ways. You could do this by owning a business. You could do this with different types of investments, like I mentioned, the S&P 500. You could do this with stocks. You could do this with CDs. You could do this by loaning money. You could do this in a bunch of different ways and all of them have different levels of risk and skill needed in order to actually do this, and different levels of passivity. Like, for example, investing in the S&P 500, you really don't do anything. You just put your money in there and it goes up and down. Whereas maybe if you're running a business, there's different degrees of how passive a business is. And so that sometimes will determine their value. Because people want a passive business oftentimes. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do this. Really, I'm just doing this in a very simple, very easy way, which is basically taking profits from Amazon. Well, okay, so here's the progression of it. Because at the very beginning of when I started selling online in general, I was just selling on eBay. And I was just looking for really high ROI, thrifted flips of used clothing and shoes. So that wasn't using money to make money. My systems of listing items were pretty bad. They did improve over time, but that was very, very much so in the self-employed category. And then eventually, as you start doing that and have a little bit more money than what your needs are, you can put money into more inventory. And maybe at that point, you can start buying the Lucky boots that are priced at $15 to $30 in your thrift store and sell those for more like $70 to $150. You can put more money into a single flip in order to save time. Because if you do that, maybe you're making $20, $30, $40 profit on an item instead of $5 to $15 profit. So you can use money to make more money in that way. And then eventually I started doing Amazon FBA books, which that's another thrifting high ROI type model that you can do in a lot of different ways, but I was cherry picking books. Eventually started doing retail and online arbitrage. Started using some of my money to save some time with those. Eventually I started doing eBay to Amazon as well, and I was using money that I had and then also some credit in order to purchase used electronics to sell for more. And we were doing 30, 40, 50 to 100% ROI flips on those. So we were using a bit more money to make more money per flip, because with these we were sometimes making 30, 40, 50, 60, $100 profit on each unit. And so we were paying up for each unit. And so that's a practical example of how money helps you make more money. And we took out some credit to do this for a period of time as well. And then eventually I ended up having some account health issues, and so we were doing anywhere from 50 to 100K in sales a month, making between 5 and 15K in profit a month. And at that point, we very intentionally wanted to go from a place of having a lot of risk in the business if we were to have an account health issue and get shut down, and have all of our inventory and payout at FBA with credit cards that we used for that stuff. So we decreased the risk by reinvesting our profits back into use less of our credit cards. And so eventually we were running the business on cash. And that was a much less risky place, because at least all of our inventory was actually in cash, and so we wouldn't go negative if we were to get suspended. From there, we reinvested more profits into not just inventory, but also started putting money into the S&P 500. Before all this, we did a savings, a 3 to 6 months savings emergency fund type thing. And then from there, we continued investing in the S&P 500 and into more inventory. And then I also took some money out to do real estate flips as well, which I am learning how to do right now as well. So that's kind of the breakdown. And then another thing that I did to lower risk was to do less FBA. Now, if you guys don't know, I do all FBM. So now I have less money at Amazon in FBA warehouses that would be at risk. And now really it's just my payout that is at Amazon, and the inventory is at a prep center. So that lowered risk. That also made it so that I could use less cash to run my whole Amazon store and still do good sales. So I was able to invest more in the S&P 500. And so now it's not a situation where Amazon is a majority of my net worth. Now Amazon's a part of my net worth, S&P 500 is a part of my net worth, what's in the bank is part of the net worth, and what's going into real estate is going to be part of the net worth. So that's kind of the paths that I'm taking, and the current goal with the S&P 500 is to basically, people have said, it depends on who you ask, what they would say on what is a realistic expectation of what you can make off of the S&P 500. Some people say as low as like 4% after you take inflation into account. Other people would say 12%, and then they would minus 2% inflation. I generally like to look at it more generously like that because it's more motivating. That way I don't have to like have in my head, oh, I have to save $2 million before I make $50K in passive income. It's a lot more motivating to have a higher expectation out of it, and then if it's slightly worse, at least you were motivated to invest and you actually like made something. So yeah, the goal right now is to get that number to a place where it is covering our expenses, and we've got a really good start on it, and we're super happy with that, super thankful. Having a really good Q4 right now. So that's kind of the path that I've taken with this, and what I would consider work optional. That playing that cash flow board game, I have a video on it maybe 2 weeks ago, has helped my financial IQ out, I think, because I just think it's interesting because you can play like somebody's life over and over and over again and optimize it and try different things out. And if you lose, like you just lost a board game that took you 10 minutes. So that is the video for today. Hopefully that was helpful. Subscribe and leave a comment if that's helpful. I'd like to know if these videos are actually helpful for you guys and if you guys are connecting. If you guys are connecting and want to connect more, we have a free Discord. I think we're going to start doing monthly calls in there. So I'd love to see you in there. Have a great rest of your day and take care.